Good day, folks. Today we're talking about family trusts, the wonderful tax planning tool that used to be in vogue and has now kind of dropped out a little bit of favor. We're here to tell you there are still some tax advantages to them, and let's cover them today. I'm Rob Tatro from robtatro.com, head of the Tatro Wealth Advisory Group here at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management, and I'm going to make some drawings today. All right, so a family trust, the typical structure for a family trust is usually you have I'm going to leave some room over here, so I'm going to say this is an operating company, otherwise known as an OPCO. So let's write OPCO. So this company could be, for example, maybe a real estate development company or a plumbing company or something like that. So this is a company. Now the cash gets earned here, all right? So cash gets earned here, and over time, the typical structure for a family trust will be triangles are usually the family trust. This will be the family trust, and then down here, we're going to have what we call the HOLDCO. So OPCO, Trust, HOLDCO. Now a reminder, folks, I am not an accountant. I do this in the tax planning of our work here at Tatro Wealth Advisory Group. We would strongly recommend you contact and consult any tax planning, your tax planning expert when you're looking at this. But this is meant as an overview of the trust. So money comes in through the trust here. Money comes into the OPCO here. And what you typically want to do when you set up the trust is you kind of add a layer of protection of liability here for two reasons. One is if ever you get sued for something down the line, but more importantly, you can funnel the money out of your OPCO through your trust, and directly to your HOLDCO, otherwise known as your piggy bank. This here, I probably should have drew a piggy bank, but the concept is you want the money out of your OPCO and into your HOLDCO. Eventually, if you sell the OPCO or if this is gone, you will continue to have this pot of money, and this pot of money can and could and maybe should fund a portion of your living expenses in retirement. So let's take a look at the advantages of a family trust. First of all, let's talk about the multiplier of capital gains exemption. All right, X is a multiplier of capital gains exemption. So in this trust that we're looking at here, this HOLDCO is likely owned by, I don't know, let's say mom and dad. The trust will have as beneficiaries, who could you put in there? You could put mom, you can put dad, you can put kids, heck, you can even put grandkids. You can even go to grandma, grandpa if you'd like. You can put anyone in there as beneficiary that you'd like, grandkids. And the key with that is once they're a beneficiary of the trust, they can be a beneficiary in terms of income or distributions, but they could also benefit, huge advantage, number one, a multiplier of the capital gains exemption. So we sell OPCO, call it $10 million. We sell OPCO for $10 million, and there was a $1 million ACB on it, so the cost base of the shares was $1 million. We have a $9 million capital gain. That $1 million, $9 million, can get spread through mom, dad, all the kids, all the grandkids, and you can limit your tax liability on the sale of your operating company. That's a significant boom, and that comes out tax-free completely. So that's one big one, is the multiplier of the capital gains exemption. Two, let's take a look at the liability. Liability. The reason liability matters in this case here is that you may potentially get sued here, right? It could happen. It's unfortunate. It could happen. But any lawsuits that come to the OPCO will remain in the OPCO. Most lawyers would say, and again, we're not giving you legal advice here, but most lawyers would likely say that adding a family trust is a great benefit in reducing any potential liability for shareholders and for assets of OPCO. So the theory there is you take the money out, you leave as little as possible in the OPCO so that the liability is significantly reduced and you can only lose what's in the OPCO. Three, let's take a look real quick at three, and this, obviously, it's an estate freeze. Estate freeze. What happens with an estate freeze is you will lock in a value of your operating company shares, your OPCO shares. You'll lock in a value today, and you are deferring the rest of the capital gains inside the trust. So that is really, really good. Mom and dad want to know for sure today that their future gains of Bill's Plumbing or the real estate company is forever going to be inside the trust. So you're deferring and you keep control. You can then decide to give shares if you'd like to or not, but at least you can keep control. It's a huge advantage for the estate freeze, which leads into our fourth advantage, which is planning. When you're doing that estate freeze, not only are you locking in all future gains to the trust, but you're also currently, today, figuring out what your tax bill on the value of OPCO will be on death. So that's a wonderful tax planning tool that you can use to potentially offset some of that gains with insurance. You can take a look at planning or funding something in order to pay for that cap gain or that future tax liability. Either way, you know the amount, you can plan for it, and when anyone's doing planning, long-term legacy planning, multi-generational planning, it's very important to know what that tax bill will be on death, and if you could lock that in today, it's a wonderful tool for tax planning. All right, so the last thing I do want to mention is remember about the life duration of the trust. And people sometimes forget about this. The trust has 21 years. That's it. The trust will never be able to drink in the U.S. because once it hits 21 years, it ceases to exist. So the trust must be wound down at 21 years. So you have a 21-year lifespan. So when you're factoring in the trust, make sure to talk to your tax planning expert about the length of time that you have and when you want to start the trust. All right, folks, hope you had a wonderful time today talking about the family trust. I am Rob Tatro from robtatro.com, head of the Tatro Wealth Advisory Group at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management. Please, we'd love for you to like, share, and give us your comments. Where do you feel about the family trust? Do you feel they took away too much, the government took away too much in the most recent tax changes, or are you okay with where we're sitting now with trust? We'd love to hear from you, and thanks for watching.